Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a special Wing It Wednesday episode of The Uninformed Fan. I am Tyson, along with my good buddy Jeffrey, who just got back from the Northeast. It was a beautiful little trip for him, little getaway. Jeffrey looking back, a little refreshed, however, quite aggressive this morning.
I'm not aggressive at all. I don't know where this is all coming from.
Well, it just comes from my ears from this morning. That's good. Saw some good friends up there. See Justice up there. Justice, what's up?
Yeah, went to the Celtics Magic game with Justice and Rachel. It was a great time as well. Shout out to Justice. Happy birthday. Yesterday, celebrated
happy birthday.
Taking JJ to go see Zootopia 2 out in theaters now.
Also, Gigantor had a birthday the other Gigantor, happy birthday.
I did see that. I missed it on the comment section in our group chat. I do apologize sincerely to Jeremy Kroll for not reaching out personally.
Was it on a group chat?
It was on something. I forget what it was. We got a chance to go to the Celtics Magic game, which was great. I didn't anticipate having nobody sitting behind me, which was good in a sense, but also it was because I was in the very last row with my back on the wall. So there was that aspect as well too. Next time I buy the tickets, whenever we go to a game, Fernando, I do love.
I don't want to throw out accusations here, but did Justice buy the tickets?
No, he did not. Fernando, I kind of consider my brother-in-law. It's basically my wife's closest cousins who married into the family. He'll actually be here in, I want to say 7 or 8 days. And then they're coming back for Christmas as well, too. So it'll be nice. I'm sure we'll be out and about, and you guys will meet Fernando as well, too. So great. We hopped around. We did karaoke at a few different places. We actually did Sweet Caroline in Boston, and I'm pretty sure they kicked us out of that karaoke bar after we finished, if I remember correctly, after the Scorpion Bowl and after all the Stellas. Bounced around to a few other places that night. Things got very fuzzy, but was a great time in Boston. I think one of the best things that I did in Boston, which was really cool, was we got to go to Cheers, the bar, and I got to stand right in Norm's spot, that it was based after, and Witten right next to his plaque, and there was no seat at the bar, so I was just standing, but it was cool to sit there and politic and talk to everybody for about 25-30 minutes and be back in the element like I was. Like basically I was at Kitty's, like you're talking to everybody, you're talking to people about where they're from, what they're doing, cracking jokes, buying drinks. It was fantastic, a great time. So that was a memory I'll always cherish as well.
Awesome. Sounds like it was a good trip. And just so you know, Justice, I do see the little phone by your name. If you are watching on your telephone, that is definitely the right stream. But if you are on a desktop, you want to switch to the other screen that'll get it going. Well, let's get it on as Jeff finishes up his Cheerios or Fruit Loops or whatever Lucky Charms children's cereal that he has decided to have for a late breakfast brunch, I guess.
It's a brunch with a parfait. Something for me and my wife to hold me over for a couple hours before we eat our, one and only meal here today.
It is the day before Thanksgiving. We got a lot of stuff going on, and of course, we had a big slate last week. Gosh, I can't even remember. It's been so long. Let's start off with Jeffrey's Bucks, who went into LA banged up and came out banged up even more. I cannot believe this. If you watch the show, you know exactly where I'm going with this. We waited for years for the opportunity just to play a couple downs, and Baker has never gotten hurt. And he gets a little banged up. Teddy Bridgewater comes in. Not much movement going on over there. Jeff, what's the latest out of the Bucks in regards to Baker? Is he actually going to be able to go this week?
He might be able to go this week. If not, Teddy will be fine, I think. I mean, you're going to get Bucky back. Honestly, you're starting to get more healthy. I know the Baker thing sucks. If I was the Bucks, I'd keep Baker out one more game. I don't think that you like this Cardinals game. Obviously, you want to win it, but you have 2 games coming up against the Panthers. You have a game against the Saints and a game against the Falcons as well, too, which in my opinion are way more important than this Cardinals game. And so I understand that you're at home. This stretch for the Bucks, say what you will. This, in my opinion, has been the toughest stretch in all of football the entire year. If you look at what their schedule was, starting with the Eagles game, right? You lose that 31-25. You go Eagles, Seahawks, 49ers, Lions. Saints are in there. That's a cupcake. But then Patriots, Bills, and Rams. Just an absolute brutal slate. It was kind of expected for a little bit of a slide as well, too. But
to your point, through those games, they have the number 3 overall on strength of schedule.
Correct. And I think they have number 2 easiest going on the way in. So, listen, help is on the way. I'm not panicking as a Bucks fan.
I saw Mike Evans practicing. Mm-hmm. So it looks like Mike Evans is going to be coming back.
Yeah. Listen, things are going to be okay, Bucks fans. This is when I remember a couple things I just want to point on here. Jeremy, I need you to go back and clip it. I know we did it. I need you to repost it where I talked about how the Teddy Bridgewater, the story, thing of Teddy Bridgewater coming back. Baker Mayfield would definitely get hurt, and Teddy Bridgewater would show up and end up leading this Bucks team to some sort of huge victory at some point. Obviously, you don't play with the ones, so that wasn't going to be it when you come in at halftime. But I thought Teddy was okay, and I think he'll be fine, especially in this offense, especially with the weapons that he has. He has a good O-line.
I think that's a good point, though, Jeff. Is what weapons is he going to have? Is Mike going to be back? We don't know. Chris Godwin has not looked right since he came back. This Bucky Irving injury to me is a little concerning. Either they're overplaying it, right, and just want to make sure he's 100% to be able to come back. But this started out as something pretty minor, and he's been out 4 or 5 games now.
Yeah, so they said he could have played this week if they wanted to rush him back. They didn't really feel like rushing him back. I know that, and this is what I've seen with the tea leaves and some of the things that Bucky's posted on social media. I think he's been going through a little bit of a heartbreak, possibly as well too, with someone, and so I think that's really been affecting his mental state as well too.
Probably missing Kyle Trask
going through the injury and everything like that as well. But he does have a great support system there. He has Tez Johnson, who's been one of his best friends since Oregon, there with him as well too. And so I think that he's a young kid. He's in the Tampa area. You're missing time. Your schedule's all of a sudden, out of whack. All of a sudden, there's different people around you that maybe were not around you before during the rehab process. I think he's going through a tough mental time, but I'm not concerned at all as a Bucks fan. I think we're going to be absolutely fine.
Well, I will tell you this. I mean, I think there should be a little bit cause for concern because, as you pointed out, with the schedule that they've had, and now the Panthers are only a game behind. And I don't know what's happening with the Panthers. I mean, I've already said my state. I will never bet on them again. But I will tell you this. It's a little scary that the fact that, the Bucks are now 6-5. To your point, I do think this actually against your point, I do think this Arizona game is important at home. I know that the relief is coming, but the Arizona Cardinal team has been sneaky, and they've been sneaky in a lot of good games. And if the Bucks do fall to this and fall to 6-6, I think it brings up a lot of questions. And just like you said before, you do play the Saints.
Play the Panthers twice. We play the Falcons. We play the Dolphins.
Where is this? Oh, you're on a bye this week?
We are not. We play the Cardinals this week. Then we follow that up with the New Orleans Saints the
Oh,
week
I'm
after.
on. I apologize. For some reason, I clicked on it and it was the
Then
Panthers schedule.
Then we play the Falcons, and then we go Panthers, Dolphins,
Panthers.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I to me, I don't know. I guess it's the end of the week. I just wouldn't want to be tied because we both know that the Saints, you're always going to get their best, even when they're trash. It's kind of like the Florida State game, which we'll talk about on Friday. You know, all of these teams, the Saints, the Falcons, not so much the Panthers. The Dolphins have been here and there. But to your point, I do believe if they get back to the original, you know, first 5 weeks of play, I think they'll be absolutely fine. Just a little, you know, I love the confidence. I love the confidence. I just think this Arizona game is very important. I do think it is important to win this game at home and to keep that little game buffer against the Panthers. It just for overall seeding, I guess it doesn't really matter as well because if you know, conference winner will get in there.
It doesn't matter because the Bucs are going to be the 4th seed. They're going to be the division winner. If they win the division, they'll be in. If they don't win the division, they won't be in the playoffs. So you're either going to be the 4th seed. You're going to have a home game to start, or you know, you won't, and you will be out of the playoffs. It is what it is. So
if that is, I'll tell you, man, if the Bucs miss the playoffs, holy moly, dude.
I think would be the worst thing in the world. I mean, Todd Bowles would be fired.
I don't think so.
I think he would be.
I mean, you got to think just the amount of injuries, and they've overcome a lot. I mean, you basically have been the whole season without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin, and again, Chris Godwin hasn't been himself. Tez Johnson has showed up. McMillan hasn't played. Bucky Irvin's been out. I mean, I know his man up mentality, but I think that there's a lot of adversity that Todd Bowles has dealt with this year, and that they're still in contention, still fighting. I don't see them moving on. And to your point is what we brought up with college. Who else are you going to get?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see. I like what Kafka's doing out there in New York, but we'll see if that's a holdover for them or not.
Yeah, we shall see. The Steelers went into Chicago and, well, they just lost. How about that? They lost against the Chicago Bears. I'll tell you what, the Chicago Bears putting some special things together on the defense. All starting linebackers out for this one. Next man up, 2 top corners out. Man, I think is it right, Jeremy? 26, the corner that caught the interception. He's been in just an absolute spotlight on a 1-year deal. I was telling the cousin Clay they need to just go ahead and re-sign him now. They already said he's going to have a role when they come back. I don't know what that is. Saddam. Yeah, for sure, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Yeah, get in there. Do a job. Do it well.
I'll tell you, though, I said on the last one that Caleb Williams was starting to grow on me, and he still is. I still like it, but my goodness, he has got to work on his completion percentages and accuracy. It's like night and day sometimes, man, to where he's just throwing laser beams in. And then the other times it's just like, woo. And I understand it's not easy. Got people in your face. It finally bit him in the butt trying to run around and escape these sacks. TJ Watt gets him in a bad spot, doesn't throw the ball away, gets the strip, sack, fumble, whatever, touchdown. I know cousin Clay was going crazy on that with the stats. Like, okay, dude. You made it, Jeffrey, when the trolls start coming out. You made it, bro. Congratulations.
It's truly humbling experience.
It is. It really is. It's truly humbling. But yeah, the Bears get it done without Aaron Rodgers. I really wish Aaron Rodgers would have played. I just want the smoke. I want to be able to beat him at any chance that we can. Obviously, it is what it is. And then now we go into a brutal matchup here with the Philadelphia Eagles at home. It's going to be a very, very tough one here. But Ben Johnson and the Bears 8-3. And I'm feeling much better, Jeffrey, about our Bucs Bears straight up bet, at least. Never in my life would I thought that when we got to this week that the Chicago Bears would be 8-3. Here we are. And Bears fans, you do not need to apologize for it. Because I'll tell you this, if Caleb can dial it in and get this thing going, and when I say going, he's still been performing well. I'm just talking about dialing in some of this completion percentages, hitting some of these targets. I mean, the Steelers secondary was trash. There was people just running wide open throughout this whole game. Little concern with the run game, but overall we got it done. 8-3 Chicago Bears still sitting at the Kings of the North, and here comes the gauntlet of the schedule: Eagles, Packers, Browns, Packers, Niners, Lions to finish it up. I said that they needed to get 3 of those wins the rest of the way out. They got 1. Now we got to get 2 more.
Yeah, I mean, huge win for the Bears. They got a little blessed here on a few things. You know, it's funny, they panned to Aaron Rodgers. They're down what? It's 31-28, I believe. Mason Rudolph has the ball. They panned to Aaron Rodgers on the sideline real quick, and he just goes, "Oh no, illegal formation." Yep. They snap the ball. The play goes on. Mason Rudolph runs for like 45 yards, gets it into Bears territory. Sure as shit, there's a flag on the ground. Bring it all back. So I think in some of those scenarios, they got a little lucky. I thought Mason Rudolph, he wasn't great, but he wasn't terrible, I guess. I think still better days are ahead for this team. The Bears are going to have a tough stretch here, and I can see this Philly game really mattering a lot. It's weird that it's on Black Friday. It's weird that it's at 3:00. There's a lot of just weird shit about this entire situation that we don't normally see in football. And so how will they respond to that? You're playing a veteran team that has been there and done that. You saw that offense trying to get a little bit into sync against the Cowboys, but the Cowboys have just been playing so much better football lately as well, too. I don't know. This game seems very fishy to me.
That line has not moved.
I hope that no matter what happens, that because I always feel like there's going to be some kind of a weird thing that happens here. I just hope that it doesn't do what it did last year. I don't think it will, because I think they have better leadership and they're more connected and together. But if something weird like that does happen, just don't let it affect you. Focus on the next week. Focus on the division. Focus on making that happen. You're playing in Philly. They're a monster there. It's going to be cold. It just, yeah. It's going to be really tough to win the ball.
The cold
their secondary has gotten a lot better.
Jeremy, do we get anybody potentially back this week from the secondary? I want to say either.
The problem is your linebackers all being hurt too. Is like,
well, a couple of them should be back. I think it was Edmonds is on IR, so he's out for 4 weeks. So
what about Edwards?
A big one. The other 2 were in Sewell were both just out for the game. I'm more concerned about the secondary that's coming back, because if those 2 guys come back with Wright, that secondary is tough, dude. You got CJ Gardner-Johnson out there now. Kevin Byard's out there. I mean, that secondary is tough, which is something that I didn't understand also at the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're missing all starting linebackers, and you just don't throw to the middle of the field all day long. And that's my biggest issue with the Pittsburgh Steelers here is, okay, a depleted Bears defense shut you down, because who are you throwing to? I only got to take care of DK Metcalf. Who else you got? And that trade, whether it was Tomlin or whomever, should put them squarely on the hot seat. Trading George Pickens for a 3rd-round pick, who has now gone to Dallas and looks like a number 1 receiver, top 5 receiver in the NFL, for a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah,
I don't know who authorized that one, but
I think the Pickens thing is interesting too, because you're also playing with who, in my opinion, has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this year, in Dak Prescott, who's been tremendous throwing the ball, been really, really good. So I think there's also that factor that you got to have in there as well too. Rodgers was not going to be a guy like Dak who's going to put it up in the air 40 times a game. So how much are you really going to rely on having to have 2 really good wide receivers out there, as opposed to maybe you just throw DK out there, who's a better blocker, better locker room guy? Does that factor in it all as well? So I'm not going to judge that trade too hard, just because I think there's more nuance to it than anything else.
Again, I mean, you have to make bad talent work, right? I mean, AJ Brown, people will probably say he's a cancer in the locker room. He's talking, he's always doing this, but you got to make good talent work. You got to get him to buy in and whatever. And I think that just goes right back to leadership. And I'm not questioning Mike Tomlin's leader of men mentality. That is not what I'm saying. But sometimes I guess maybe the player just doesn't want to look. And for the Bears, it looks like Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon were both listed as full participants in practice. So they are trending towards a week 13 return. Awesome. TJ Edwards as a non-participant. So that one is not good. Hippo Light also, who got hurt during this game, also not practicing. That is not a good sign. Noah Sewell did not practice. Tyreek Stevenson did not practice. So while we looks like we have a few reserves about to come back, it looks like we're going to be down some other ones. So again, next man up. I really love what the Chicago Bears are doing here, man. They don't make it, they don't give excuses for winning, and I love it. I don't care how you win either. Just win. And I think we got a full test to your point. This is a huge game. But if you could lose, and I'm not saying I want them to lose, but if you could lose by a last second field goal, not the Hail Mary. Not the Hail Mary. I think you can still walk out of there with your heads held high, being like, we just took them, best record, but down by 3. And on the other end, if the Bears can go into Philadelphia, which again we'll talk about Friday, and pull off that win, it is going to launch them confidence-wise into the stratosphere.
Yeah, I just worry about the linebacking part of that, and the Eagles being able to get to the second level through the defensive line, and then mitigating those linebackers. And all of a sudden, now you have Saquon, who's looked very pedestrian this year. But we talked about that move that the Dallas made. People hated it. I loved it. I thought you put Quinnen Williams there with Kenny Clark, and all of a sudden that defense changes a lot because you can't run the ball against them. It's really, really tough. And so now all of a sudden your DBs aren't on islands anymore. You're able to run things a little bit differently. And so, I think it'll be a very interesting matchup. It's a very interesting stretch for Ben and for Caleb, and for the growth that's going to happen for both of them.
Or not. Yeah, we shall see. One of the biggest games, Colts Chiefs. Colts 20 go into Kansas City, lose in overtime to 23-20.
Yeah.
The whole last 6 series to me from the Indianapolis Colts, I was just shaking my head at. I didn't understand it. I understand that Steve Spagnuolo is going to take away Jonathan Taylor, but Jonathan Taylor was still Jonathan Taylor, and you still have to keep him honest. Yeah. And they just went away from it completely, shut down Danny Dimes. The wide receivers were pretty much non-existent. Michael Pittman Jr. had a few catches, I apologize. Who was Alec Pierce, pretty much never even touched the ball. It was a very interesting game plan from both sides, and the Colts still had them. They still had them. Then overtime they take the ball first 3 and out, boom. 3 passing plays, I believe. Not even one attempt to run the football. Again, to me, when we're talking about running the football and, Steve Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator, coming up with ways to shut it down, you just got to get a little bit more creative, a little bit more inventive. And I think that's where guys like Sean McVay and Ben Johnson have a better advantage about getting their backs on the outside with a little bit more room. We just didn't see anything like that with the Colts in this one. Unfortunately, I do believe the last 4 or 5 were all 3 and outs. Painful way to end, man. And once again, Kansas City is still alive.
And can we also say this too, is that it's really tough to have that. And this is why you got to be in lockstep, right? Jonathan Taylor did 16 carries. He should have had at least 20 in this game for sure, even if it's not working, for the simple fact that if you look at the drives that they had by the Chiefs, right? They have a 11-play, 56-yard drive, takes up 5 minutes and 9 seconds. They score a touchdown, their first touchdown of the game, with 8 minutes and 37 seconds. Okay. They then go on a 15-play, 87-yard drive for nearly 5 minutes that now you push to overtime. Then you get into overtime. You go 3 and out, and now your defense is on the field from their 12 plays, 81 yards, and another 6-minute drive. The defense was just cooked by the end of it, and there's nothing you can do. I do think there's better days ahead for the Colts here. I think the Chardavius Ward and Sauce Gardner combo can be fine, especially when you have such a good front. I just think this was a bad spot, and they found ways to lose this game, which they haven't really done that all year. They've found ways to win. So
I think it's definitely not going to get better this week, Jeffrey.
A blip on the radar for them as well.
You know who they play this week?
The Texans.
The best defense in the NFL. So if they do bounce back and they can do it, then that would be a great testament to them being able to bounce back against this Texans. But let me tell you this, I am not starting Danny Dimes this week. I will tell you that.
I really like the Colts this week, but I think it's just a factor of CJ Stroud coming back, first game being a little bit rusty after missing a few weeks, getting the cobwebs out. I don't think that offense is going to do a lot. I think they're going to be able to mitigate Nico Collins on the outside. Where is he going to go with the ball? Is he going to be able to dance around like Mahomes did and pick up those little small 4-yard runs, 5-yard runs, and just dump offs that Mahomes is able to get and extend those drives to get 12, 15 play drives? I just don't know if CJ is going to have that in him coming back from a concussion and being a little bit gun shy. So I will be on the Colts this week. I just think this is a nice bounce back spot for them as well too.
Under might be juicy.
Yeah, 100%. Division game.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we'll talk about who the Chiefs. Patriots go into the Bengals and get it done. I'll tell you, I thought the Bengals were going to win this game. I really did. Joe Flacco throws probably one of the worst interception pick sixes that I've ever seen from a veteran quarterback. I mean, he literally just threw it right to the guy. It was a nice floating. It wasn't even a laser beam. It felt like it hung in the air for 5 minutes, runs it back, and ultimately that ends up being the difference there. Joe Burrow back this week.
Yeah, baby, let's go.
I think it's too little too late, but, obviously okay. if they do run it back. No T. Higgins. And I think, that just goes back to this game here about how stupid that incident was with Jamar Chase. Like, you can't have anybody down. And it's just the point of T. Higgins being a guy. Man, come on, man. We need you. If Joe Burrow's coming back, putting his body back on the line, you can't be doing stupid things that costing you a team game. Because who knows? Who knows what would have happened, if Jamar Chase was in that game. I don't know. The Giants. The New York Football Giants and Jameis Winston go into Detroit and should have won this game as well. I tell you, the Giants have a knack for pissing away a game in the fourth quarter. It really needs to be studied because either A, this is for entertainment purposes only and this is all scripted, or they are just that bad at figuring out how to lose a game. 27-34, Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely runs wild. If you had him on your fantasy team, you probably won.
Shout out to TJ.
I had him in my DraftKings lineup and still didn't win. Shout out to me.
I made 10 cents in FanDuel. By the way, could we talk about how much better DraftKings Sportsbook is than the people down here?
That's why I stopped FanDuel.
Holy shit. It is incredible how much better the DraftKings Sportsbook is than the only provider that you have down here to be able to gamble on sports. But anyway, we will not get here nor there.
Before you move on from that, I don't know if you saw the commercial, but FanDuel has the pass the leg parlay now. Did you see dude, this is stuff dreams are made of for DJs. You can pick like a 3 or 4 leg parlay, right? Let's just say I pick it. I pick one. I send it to you.
I did see that. I just saw the commercial.
Then you pick it. Dude. That was awesome. Like the guy that was a chef in there, he goes, who you passing? Like, he goes, now you go, dude, it's 1 week, man. Dude, that is awesome. We need to get that. We need to get that on Hard Rock.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about the Lions and the Giants and
Lions,
how the Giants suck.
It's interesting. Jahmyr Gibbs is really, really good. And we said that when he came out and they made this pick, and everybody was like, "This is such a stupid pick," blah blah blah. And it's like, bro, have you watched Jahmyr Gibbs at Georgia Tech when he was the leading rusher in all of NCAA football? Did you watch him at Alabama when he was almost unstoppable in a lot of games? And now he gets to the pros and he's just absolutely lighting it up. He's winning games for them, and that's impressive. But it's also a little bit worrisome if I'm the Lions. You're not supposed to go to overtime with the Giants. I don't care who's quarterbacking.
They should have lost.
The Giants have no weapons. None. And somehow you're letting Jameis Winston play tight end.
Let's hold off there. They have Jameis Winston, Jeffrey.
No, yeah, it's funny. I was listening to Greg Olsen. He was talking about, he's like, I hate pregame speeches. I think they're absolutely ridiculous. I hate when a coach gives a rah-rah pregame speech. All of it. It all pisses me off. However, Jameis Winston can give me a pregame speech any day that he wants to. It's funny how he is just it's weird how when people start to get to know you, their preconceived perception and notions of you kind of go by the wayside, and all of a sudden you become this most endearing, amazing person that everybody falls in love with. And it's like, for those of us who have been in love with, that's going to sound weird, for those of us who have been huge Jameis fans for a long time, it's just nice to have people finally see him for who he is and not because of fucking crab legs or because of mistakes that he made when he was severely inebriated. So that makes me happy to see the way that he's turned things around.
I think even when all of the things happened and all the bad, it wasn't like, at least from my perspective, of course we shit on him, right? But it was never like, it was never hate. It was always just like goofiness, right? It was always just like, look at this goofy motherfucker.
Yeah. Did that guy did that guy really just dress out when he was suspended for jumping on a table and saying, saying the words that he said, because he was joining a fraternity and that was what he had to do for part of his hazing ritual or whatever. And then he comes out in full pads ready to go for Clemson, and Jimbo just loses his shit. He's, what are you doing? God, blah, blah, blah.
His speeches, his Robert,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, dude.
Not to get
his profession of Christ, the whole 9 yards, dude.
Yeah.
I outside of Florida State, I'll say I love everything about that man. And I'll say it, love it. I love everything about that man. He is just a good soul. At least it appears so. I don't know what happens behind the scenes, but it doesn't look fake to me.
Jeremy, I have a question for you, and I know this is going to be random right now. How do you get in? What's the site called that you get in to like access your phone? I want to look at my notes that I have for some of these games that I wrote stuff down on, but I want to look at it on my computer. How do I get into the
Don't
like
you
your
just email
Apple
it from your
Home
phone?
or whatever? What is it called though? You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, continue. We're good.
Well, let's get on to the most annoying game, the Eagles-Cowboys. Now, before I preface this, I want to say that I love getting on. I love Greeny and the Get Up crew. Shout out to all those guys. But I also love Mondays when the Bears win. And it's more so because I love to hear Dan Orlovsky's breakdowns. So I listened all the way up until I had to start working at 9:30 in the morning. So I listened for an hour and a half of Get Up. And I heard 2 damn games, the majority being Eagles, Cowboys, and the other one being the Colts and the Chiefs. There was a 5-minute segment of Shedeur Sanders, and that was it. For an hour and a half, they talked about 2 games. For the love of Mary, man, there's a lot more games going on. That I get it. Everybody thinks the juice, the clickbait, the Cowboys fans, the Eagles, best teams. I get it. You're also propping up a 5-5-1 Dallas Cowboys team, acting like they are the next coming. I get it. They've turned things around. The Eagles look like absolute trash, even though they're 8-3. But guess what, guys? Guess who's also 8-3? A lot of other teams, including the LA Rams, who are 9-2. Like, there's other teams. Anyway, but before I get to Eagles 21, Cowboys 24, this was a great game. Eagles come out 21-0, and then the Cowboys defense shut them down for the rest of the game. Dak comes back. George Pickens just goes bananas. CeeDee Lamb has a few drops. They can continue to feed it to Pickens. I'll tell you, if the Cowboys can get into the playoffs, I don't know if there's any team out there that wants to play them right now. They are not, to your point, the pushover that we saw against the Bears, the Packers. That defense has made some moves. And, for all the criticism that everybody gave about unloading Micah Parsons, which I had no problem with, I just didn't like where he went. In the moves that they've made, this defense has showed up and shored up its ends, stopping the run game. They're good, man. And the Eagles got problems, man. For an 8-3 team, these guys have problems.
Yeah, well, let's not also forget too. A lot of those wins were very close, not dominant by any sense of the imagination. You block the kick against the Rams when the game's about to be over, and run it back for a touchdown. Just so many different things. The way that it all played
again,
out.
I'll stick with what I said. You can't apologize for wins.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying they should apologize. I'm just saying that some of the wins were not in a dominating fashion that you.
Well, I mean, the majority of them are all 1-score games. I mean, the Cowboys 1-score game, the Chiefs 1-score game. They did beat the Rams. Nope, 1-score game. Bucks 1-score game. Broncos 2-score game. They lost to the Giants. Interesting. The Vikings 1-score game. The Giants 2 scores. one score, one score, one score. Yeah, I mean, they've had 2 games where they've won by more than one score. So yeah, I mean, they're not blowing anybody out of the water. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, and listen, I like I said, I love what Dallas has done. I think they have great weapons. I don't know where they go with the Pickens thing after this year, but it's been fun to watch him and Dak and CD even with some of the drops, man. Like CD's had really, really, really terrible drops. Hasn't mattered. Dak's still able to matriculate the ball down the field. Javonte Williams is a great pickup. I don't understand why they got rid of Rico Dowdle, but that's neither here nor there. And yeah, I like what the Cowboys have done. Nobody wants to face them. And if the Cowboys somehow get hot and somehow backdoor their way into the playoffs, that's a weird team that you don't want to face. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Not at this point. And I mean, at the beginning of the year, yeah, put me up against the Dallas Cowboys every game. I don't see though. Okay, so they're 5-1. What is their path to the playoffs? I mean, they are still.
They got to win out.
3 games out of the wild card.
Yeah, they got to win out.
Yeah, I mean,
but also some of those teams, like some of those, a lot of stuff's going to kind of take care of itself as well too, because a lot of people didn't have a lot of division games until they're rolling into right now, right? And correct. I say that meaning like the NFC West, the NFC North, the NFC South. None of them have really played each other divisionally. I think the East has probably had the most games against each other, if I'm correct. So I think this is all play out and kind of work itself out, if you will.
Well, to your point, when I'm looking at division leaders, Rams 9th strength of schedule, Philadelphia 15th, Chicago 31. They were 32 before the last game. Buccaneers 3. Then you got Seahawks, Packers, Niners at 26, 30, 20. We all know that those are going to tighten up, to your point, because they're going to start playing each other. So teams are going to fall here. We'll just see which ones fall and which ones rise. Yeah, I mean, they're still in it. That tie, man, it just boggles my mind that we still end in ties in this day and age. But here we are, Jeffrey. Here we are.
Let's talk about iCloud.com. That's what it is.
It has been a revelation.
Yeah.
Are you ready to move on to Turkey Day games, Jeffrey? Or do you want to revisit your notes?
Please. I'm almost there. I've almost accessed.
Working Turkey tomorrow, Jeffrey?
I am.
I clicked the button.
You what?
I clicked the button.
What button is that?
The call out button.
Oh, really?
You don't even have to call. Yeah, you don't even have to call anybody. You just click a button on that app.
Interesting.
I thought so. I was extra anyway, so it's not like I'm hurting anybody. Whatever. We're starting it off 1 o'clock. Packers, Lions. The Packers are headed to the Lions. Lions coming off the win. Felt like a loss. Packers coming off of, which we did not talk about, a good performance against the Vikings. But again, it's J.J. McCarthy. It is what it is there. I don't think everybody's putting a whole lot of stock into this. Lions favored by 3 here, Jeffrey. I like the Lions here again to bounce back. I think that, they're going to learn a lot from that New York Giants football game. And you know my take on the Green Bay Packers. Too much Riz. I think that the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs with David Montgomery, are going to be able to penetrate, wear down that defensive line, and they're going to get the short crossings when they need to. Can we get a Jameson Williams sighting? Holy.
And you're going against one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. And everything was supposed to be all happy-go-lucky and, beautiful. Just a couple things here. Favorites since 2004 on Thanksgiving, 51-9 straight up. Against the spread, they're 40-20. These are jarring numbers. If the spread is more than 10, they are 10-0. The problem becomes
10-0 against the spread or straight up?
10-0 against the spread. The problem,
over 10 points? Wow.
Over 10 points, they've covered all 10. The problem becomes here is with the overtime games and playing on a short week. And we're going to see this happen with 2 of these teams, which are the Detroit Lions, who played in overtime and are now turning around and playing on a Thursday, and also more specifically the Kansas City Chiefs. Usually the numbers turn to fading those teams. Now, it's only happened one time this year, and the one time that it happened was actually, I believe it was the Raiders-Broncos game on a Thursday night, which ended up being 10-7. So it looks like it is correct when you assess it like that, but it's also really tough to gauge that as an actual thing because it is obviously Broncos and Raiders.
So you're
The
telling me a
Lions,
3-game money line parlay is the way to go?
I'm not at all. I actually like all the dogs here. Um,
Of
and
course.
that's
Well, I mean, we already knew when I said the word Packers where you were going to go. Like, there was never a question. Have you ever, has there been a game that the Packers have played this year that you have not liked them to win?
1,000%. I picked the Cleveland Browns to beat them. I also have said repeatedly that they play down to their competition. And when they played the Panthers at home, it was a terrible spot because they sleepwalk through these games. This is not a sleepwalk through game. This is a game that you have circled on your schedule, on your calendar. Now, I understand that the Lions are going to want to get back for what happened week 1. But you have a chance to put a stranglehold on this right now and kind of put the Lions to sleep, if you will. They're going to beat them 2 games within the division. I think is going to be absolutely huge if you can get it done. LaFleur in this spot is 18-6 against the spread as an underdog. So you do like that numbers, but Dan Campbell hasn't covered in back-to-back games. He's 19-5 against the spread the very next game. So all the numbers here would point you to taking the Detroit Lions, right? My problem is that this line has opened up and it really hasn't moved. If I can get 3 or 3.5 on the Packers, I think that's the play. Other than that, I'm probably just going to take the over and hope that that tryptophan doesn't kick in before the fourth quarter when things start to light up.
Who was it? Was it a coach? I can't remember. Somebody said something like, yeah, well, we're not going to have, I think it was the Cowboys coach. He's like, yeah, well, we're not going to do this. We're not, because I don't want that tryptophan to hit their system at this time. We're going to do this. We're going to do this a little early. And I'm like, we're literally talking about when we're going to eat turkey or not on the game. And to me, it's like, don't eat turkey before it all. How about that?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Right now, it's plus 2.5, plus 100 over at the old Hard Rock Bet.
The gouging app.
I guess the 48.5 is probably just where I'm going to end up at and kind of take it from there. But I mean, I'll be rooting for the Packers. I'm not going to lie. I can't lie. I obviously have things that are invested into that. And so I will be rooting for my bet. Jeremy no longer has that invested. Jeremy has decided to cash out his $100,000 parlay with 5 weeks to go in the season. And that's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Especially when he had the Bears winning the division instead of the Packers.
I think that's a smart move.
And he still cashed it out. It's crazy to me.
Well, Jeff, when you've watched a lot of Bears games, you're just waiting for the shoe to fall, bro. And if it doesn't fall, that's great. And if you want a little bit of money on the same time, it's kind of like, cashing out my Max Verstappen futures that now is like the favorite again. It's just one of those things that happen, Jeff. You have to go with it. Yeah, I mean, I'll never root for the Packers. Just one of those things. It's kind of like when you just, for you never root for the Saints. I take that back. There's been a couple times where I think I needed the Packers to win a game to get into playoffs back in the day. But yeah, I don't know. We shall see. It's going to be a good game. Indoors, blah, whatever. Are all the games? Nope. Ravens are outside. Next up, Chiefs. And one thing we didn't talk about that I do want to talk about after this is I do want to talk about the Cleveland Browns game last week. Chiefs, Cowboys coming off this big one. Chiefs minus 3.5 here. All signs would tell you to take the Cowboys plus 3.5 points. I don't know, Jeff. This to me is like one of those times where Kansas City comes back, and we've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks. When is Kansas City going to turn into Kansas City? They still haven't done it, but this just seems to me like a spot where the Kansas City Chiefs might turn back into the Kansas City Chiefs. But I tell you, if I had to do something, I would take Dallas in the points.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? We talked about the overtime thing and how that kind of plays out. The spot is terrible for Kansas City. I think they're like 6-21 straight up on the road after the overtime game and 5-22 against the spread overall on overtime games that are kicked off on Thursday. But Dak has been terrible on Thanksgiving. He's been the guy that you fade every Thanksgiving. He's like 2-5 against the spread. So I don't know what you want to do here. A lot of people think there's going to be a lot of points scored. I don't know how Kansas City's going to run the ball. And if they can't run the ball and Dallas is able to just drop back a bunch, then what are we looking at? Mahomes rushing yards, maybe like Mahomes out of the pocket scrambling. Is that a prop that we now target and we circle? Also, how are they going to stop Dallas? How do you stop this offense? This offense has been so good with Pickens and with Lamb. I just don't know how they do it. For me, I like the Cowboys here. I think they're just kind of peaking and cresting at the right time. I think that for a team that was kind of flailing in the wind, is it Breland? Is that the kid who ended up the horrible tragedy that happened with him taking his own life? And it's been this thing that they've all kind of gravitated to as a team. And so, yeah, I really like the spot the Cowboys are in here. It's tough to bet against Mahomes. I don't know.
Will it get your hard-earned money, though, Jeffrey?
I don't know. I
think, honestly, I think these first two games, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the show. I see a distinct advantage in here. I'm sure if Chad was here, he would tell us what that distinct advantage was.
Yeah.
But I just don't see a distinct advantage. I just think two good games. Now we get to the third game, that might change a little bit. And the 3-time chiming in on the private, Danny Hurley from UConn is the one that made that comment.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Bengals Ravens, Jeffrey. Joe Flacco back. No T. Higgins due to concussion. Both teams backs against the walls. I mean, great. You're bringing back Joe Burrow. Looks like I'm lagging out over here on the main screen here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know, Jeffrey. What are your thoughts here? Both teams backs against the walls. Ravens have not looked good at all.
No.
Bengals, they don't have a defense.
Yeah, the one thing that scares me is this line, right? Like this line you definitely think should be 3.5 or 4, but they've hung this line at 7. And you're trying to ask yourself, why is it 7? How did we get to 7 based off of what we've seen from the Ravens and based of, I understand the Bengals defense has been absolute trash lately or previously, but just like the Cowboys, they've been much better the past few weeks. So I don't really know what it is, what they figured out. Now, are they going to be able to mitigate Lamar? Lamar's still on the injury report, right? Whether it's a toe or a knee or, a hand or whatever it is, like Lamar has stayed on the injury report the entire year. Their offensive line has not been great. Now you got to go up against Trey Hendrickson. Can you stop Derrick Henry is the question. I think Chase Brown has looked so much better, and I think that'll continue to look so much better with Burrow behind center as well, too. I don't know. Burrow's 1-5 against Lamar against the spread. Burrow is 3 points or more against the spread, is 17-3, though, and he covers by almost 5 points. So we're kind of, once again, we have stats on both sides that would tell you to take the other side. It's a tough one for me. I know personally for me, I will be on the Cincinnati Bengals plus 7 points. I'll probably buy it at 7.5, and we'll see what happens.
I also like the under here. I mean, we're sitting at 51.5 on Hard Rock, 52 nationwide.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know some people who really like the over here because they think both defenses are just not good and neither of them will be able to stop the other one.
I see that. But then I also look back at some of the recent games, and I just don't see where this offense is still going to come. I mean, the Ravens put up 23 against the Jets. Okay. The Bengals put up 20 against the Patriots. Now, the Patriots defense obviously a little bit better there. But then as I move to the next week, they put up 12 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Bengals. Now, granted, they're coming back. The Ravens did put up 23 against the Browns. But again, I mean, they put up 27 against the Vikings.
So can we say this, right? The Ravens put up 23 against the Browns. Go back and look at that game because a lot of those points were scored on short fields. A lot of those points were scored off turnovers that they had by whoever was playing quarterback for the Browns at the time. That was complete ass. That they turned the ball over and ended up having, nothing to do on the other side. So I think the point thing is a little bit misleading against the Browns.
Yeah. Well, to your point, though, Cincinnati has looked a lot better on defense the past few weeks. Again, could just be a good game. Who knows? I do like the Bengals, especially if they get to plus 7.5.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's way too much.
I just don't know. Like, all right, so the first 2 games play out. Only thing on that night, like what what is the degenerate turkey person gonna want to bet on? And I think it's
everyone's going to be on the Bengals.
I think everybody's going to be on the Bengals too. And that's what scares me is that like this line should not be 7. And they're like begging you to take Cincinnati at this point, which to me is asinine because I do not think that the Ravens are a good football team. I just don't. I think their offensive line stinks. I think their defense has been, objectively bad. They have like one piece on each level that's okay, but the rest is just trash. And I just don't understand where this love comes from. So that's
I think it goes back to weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks since like week 4. Everyone expects this Baltimore Ravens team to put it together at some point, just like everyone expects the Kansas City Chiefs to put it back together at some point. But at the end of the day, you have to look at what's in front of your face, and it's not the same team. It's not the same energy. It's not the same game plan. It's not the same ferocity and speed and run it down your throat. Lamar Jackson does not look good. He doesn't look healthy. I don't know if he's nursing the hamstring or if it's not 100%, but he just doesn't look like his electric self. And to your point, when you take that out, take that threat away, it definitely minimizes your offense. So we'll see. We'll see. I did want to talk about that Cleveland Browns game from last week. Shedeur Sanders getting his first start of the season.
Made some good throws. Made some terrible throws too.
Also became the first Browns rookie quarterback to win his first start. 24-10. I thought this was easy money. I took them plus 3.5. And I took them on the money line. The Raiders are just a terrible team. There's no way that the Raiders should ever be favored, which they promptly fired Chip Kelly after that. A lot of people talk about Shedeur Sanders and his confidence level, his arrogance, or whatever you want to call it, and how it's just negative because he's a black guy or because of his family. I think that there is a fine line. But just like, a lot of people have a problem with his comments, what he made afterwards. And his comments being, we did this with just a half a week of practice. Imagine if I get a full week of practice. I know that it's coming from a place of confidence, and I know it's coming. But I think it was Rex or somebody else that said, you know what? I do love the confidence. Instead of eyes, let's get a few more wheeze. We do this. And not only that, you got to credit your defense. Obviously, your defense is just on an absolute elite level. Make sure that you credit your defense. Make sure that all guys feel involved before, and obviously the Browns sticking with Shedeur Sanders. I don't think there's any reason why after seeing what you saw out of him, he should not be starting. Hit that beautiful deep ball down the sideline. I don't know who that was to. I don't think it was Judy.
Isaiah Bond,
the kid out of Texas that I dropped not too long ago. Shocker. I keep hearing a lot of people talk about Myles Garrett and being on this team. I have zero sympathy for him. He is the best defensive player in the NFL. And you knew damn good and well that the Cleveland Browns were never going to be competitive, which is what you said. I ain't going to win a ring here. And yet you still signed for the bag when you could have got the bag elsewhere. There are some inside rumors of the trade deadline that the Chicago Bears were putting together a monster package for him at the trade deadline. That would have been kind of crazy. Jeff, I mean, at the end of the day, that you are wasting a generational talent in Cleveland and Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I don't think it's being talked about enough, too. I mean, it's the single greatest defensive season in football maybe we've ever seen from a defensive lineman. Not only has he been incredible rushing the quarterback, but he is one of the best run stoppers in the entire NFL as well. And it's just, I mean, yeah, props to him and his will, determination. I mean, he is the elite of elite, as we like to say. There's no other one like him. He may be the greatest defensive lineman of all time, for sure.
And that's where I kept calling back the whole Micah Parsons things. Like everybody's crowning Micah Parsons the best. No,
I don't think that. I don't think that. But he's definitely.
I didn't say
five.
You.
He's definitely a top 5 defensive end in the league, Micah Parsons.
Yeah, he's definitely great. I'm not shitting on him by any means. But I said it from the get-go. Everybody in the national media was like, "Oh, this guy, he's the best defender in the NFL." Blah blah. I'm like, are you forgetting about Myles Garrett? Like, just because he's on the Browns, and that's why. Because Micah Parsons played for the Cowboys, which is probably, 90% of what the media talks about is the damn Dallas Cowboys. Then he goes to the Packers, which I don't know if you knew this, Jeff. The Packers have one of the youngest rosters in the NFL. I don't know if you knew that or not. He goes
I've
to
heard
the
that
Packers
stat somewhere before. I'm not sure.
He goes to the Packers, and then they crown the Packers the Super Bowl favorites. They're doing all of this stuff, and he's had some success over there. But it's not like he's blowing shit out of the water over there. Like, Myles Garrett's getting double and triple teamed, and he is still just wrecking people. That's all I had to say about that. But,
I did want to say,
I hope the Browns get it together here with Shedeur. But, not for nothing. Deshaun Watson's coming back. Then what are you going to do?
there should be an open competition between Deshaun Watson and between Shedeur Sanders.
Now you got Dylan Gabriel. I mean, you got to move on from him. I mean,
but that's the problem if you're Stefanski, right? Like, we talked about this. Like, no coach wants to be wrong. So Stefanski basically hitched his wagon to Dylan Gabriel in the third round, right? Didn't really want Shedeur. And so now is Stefanski ready to eat crow and say, maybe I was wrong? I don't think he is. And I think that's part of the thing of him wanting to fight for his job, is because he thinks that this is a direct reflection, and it is, of him as a head coach. Listen,
I'd rather admit that I'm wrong and keep my job and do the right thing than take it to the grave.
I think they got to tear it down. I think I would keep Jim Schwartz, though. That guy is a defensive genius, and he's been incredible in Cleveland for many years in a row. Regardless of what the offense has been doing, regardless of what has happened, the most consistent part of Cleveland for the past 5 to 6 years has been the defense every single week. And
so if you're going to tear it down,
that guy is stuck there, and I would get rid of Stefanski if I were them.
Well, if you're going to tear it down, though, you might as well get rid of Garrett as well.
Stop saying this, like, just because you think that the Bears can go get him. It's the only reason you're saying.
I'm not saying it at all. I'm just saying just the same thing as Jerry Jones got rid of Micah Parsons. That was his biggest draft capital. If you're going to tear it down, you're probably getting 3 first-rounders for Myles Garrett, plus a player.
One thing I did want to point out, obviously, you have the situation in Las Vegas where Chip Kelly gets fired. The guy taking over, Greg Olsen, not the Greg Olsen from TV, the Greg Olsen who's been an OC in this league at pretty much every single place, it feels like. But what does Greg Olsen do? Greg Olsen throws the ball to the tight end and he runs the ball. And so if you're out there on your waiver wires this week and you're looking to, find a diamond in the rough, I think there's 2 guys. Genty did leave the game and go to the Blue Medical Tent with an ankle thing. If you have Genty, good for you, because it looks like they're just going to start to pound the rock and feed Genty. If you do not have Genty and you're looking for a handcuff or somebody to back him up, you have a couple guys in Zamir White and Raheem Mostert that I'm sure out there in most leagues. But also the biggest thing to me, there's a guy who's out there, and I'm a Brock Bowers governor in fantasy football, but there's also Michael Mayer that's out there as well, too. And if you look at what Greg Olsen has done as an OC, 2018, he had a 31-year-old Jared Cook. He led the team with 101 targets. 2019, he had Darren Waller, led the team with 117 targets in his first year playing tight end. 2020, Darren Waller, 145 targets. And then 2021, Darren Waller, he gets hurt, but 8.5 targets per game before he got hurt. So he's going to throw the ball to the tight end. Michael Mayer is going to be out there in some leagues. If you're looking for tight end help, I think it's a great option for you as well, too.
I would agree with you with the tight end options. I would just be cautious of the running backs just because that offensive line is so bad.
I agree. But it's like the Neal kid, which I messed that up so hard. I picked him up in my league last week, right? Had him all the way up until Sunday. Then on Sunday, right before the game started, I decided to drop Neal and pick up Michael Carter because he was projected for more points. The game goes on. Alvin Kamara gets hurt, goes out, and now Neal's the number one, the kid from SMU. So it just
shout out to Buff.
I didn't have waiver priority in any of my leagues, so
I thought for sure I was going to get him. I thought I was like, there's no way that an 11-1 team that literally has won 11 straight has TreVeyon Henderson, Jonathan Taylor, Chase Brown, Woody Marks, Vidal would be picking up Neal just to stash him on his bench so nobody else could have him. But hey, it's a smart move. Smart move.
And Vidal's about to be null and void too. Amarian Hampton's practice window just opened back up for the Chargers, so he's already practicing as well. A lot of moving parts going on in the NFL right now, and it's a lot of fun for sure.
I'm not gonna lie, man. That really pissed me off this morning. It really
Is that why you didn't want to do a show?
No. I've just been going through some stuff. So Buff was number 1 on the waiver wire. Then it was Joe Sonny. And I'm like, Joe's not picking anybody up. He's out. Sonny, no, he doesn't need him. Probably didn't see it, right? Sonny usually gets kind of after the fact. So I'm like, all right, I'm sitting there. Boom. Dude, there's no shot Buff is going to be picking this guy up. He doesn't need him. I'm in shambles now, dude. I'm in absolute shambles. Not that Alvin Kamara was a big player of my team, but he was showing some promise and actually had a lot of carries. Now it's just like, But at the end of the day, I still needed a miracle. My point totals are too low. So we'll see. But if a couple teams that are sitting above me lose both weeks and I have the best path to the playoff, I do believe I play Gigantor this week. And then I also play Overman in week 14. And that game could potentially decide who goes to the playoffs or not.
Yeah, it's really interesting how your friends all of a sudden start to really kind of root against you in certain spots. And I wake up today to a thing from what was it, TJ and Sean Munson on a Wednesday telling me congratulations on my win because they're both rooting for me to lose. It seems very disingenuous. And I would like to personally tell both of them to go fuck themselves. That's it.
You're playing Munson this week.
I am. And he sends to the group chat this morning, congratulations on the win, Jeff.
That was Munson or
yeah.
Overman?
No.
Well, that reverse psychology, I don't know, man.
It's just that type of shit they try to pull all the time, and it's so tired and stupid.
Indeed.
Whatever.
Well, that's going to do it for us, Jeff. We got anything else to wrap us up with going into Turkey Day?
No. The hospitality community lost somebody here this past weekend, unfortunately, as well. Our boy Mike Diaz, who was well-known bartender at Eddie V's and recently over at Norman's, unfortunately has left us, and just, goes to show you just, live every day to the fullest that you possibly can. Tell people you love them when you do. And yeah, just be great to each other because you never know when it's up.
Yikes. Yeah. Nothing more to say on that one.
That's it.
All right. Well, we will be back Friday at 12 for our regular show to kick us off the weekend. Until then, if you do happen to be driving over the Thanksgiving weekend, please, for the love of God, stay out of the left-hand lane.
Also, listen, everybody, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy your Turkey Day. Don't argue with your family about politics. It's not worth it. Love everybody. Everybody be great.
Peace.